Judith 1, from a New English translation of the Septuagint. It was the 12th year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, who ruled over the Assyrians from Nineveh, the great city. It was in the days of Arphaxad, who ruled over the Medes from Ecbatana, and who had built walls around Ecbatana from stones hewn to a breadth of 3 cubits, and to a length of 6 cubits, and made the height of the wall 70 cubits, and its breadth 50 cubits, and raised up its towers at its gates 100 cubits, and laid out their foundations to a breadth of 60 cubits, and made its gates rising to a height of 70 cubits, and their width being 40 cubits, for the passage of his army of chief men and the ranks of his foot soldiers. And it was in those days that King Nebuchadnezzar made war against King Arphaxad in the great plain, that is, the plain on the frontier of Regal, and there rallied against him all the inhabitants of the highlands, and all who dwelt by the Euphrates, and the Tigris, and the Hydaspes, and in the plain of Arioch, king of the Elymians. And a great many nations gathered for the battle of the sons of Chalud. And Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, had sent to all those who inhabit Persia, and to all the inhabitants of the west, the inhabitants of Cilicia, and Damascus, and Lebanon, and Anti-Lebanon, and all the inhabitants facing the coast, and those among the nations of Carmel, and Galaad, and Upper Galilee, and the great plain of Esdraelon, and all those in Samaria and its cities, and beyond the Jordan as far as Jerusalem, and Bethany, and Chalus, and Cadiz, and the Wadi of Egypt, and Tophnes, and Remeth, and all the land of Gesem, until one comes above Tanis, and Memphis, and all the inhabitants of Egypt, until one comes to the frontier of Ethiopia. And all the inhabitants throughout all the land had contempt for the word of Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, and did not join with him for the war, for they did not fear him. Rather, in their eyes he was but one man, and they sent back his messengers empty-handed and shamefaced. And Nebuchadnezzar became violently angry at all this land, and swore by his throne and by his kingdom that he would punish the entire region of Cilicia, and the Damascene, and Syria, and that he would dispatch with his sword all the inhabitants of the land of Moab, and the sons of Ammon, and all Judea, and all those in Egypt, until one comes to the region of the 2 seas. And in the 17th year he took the field of battle before his army against King Arphaxad, and prevailed in his war. And he turned back the entire army of Arphaxad, and all his cavalry, and all his chariots, and he seized his cities. And he came as far as Ecbatana, and gained possession of the towers, and looted its streets. And its honor he turned to its shame. And he overtook Arphaxad in the mountains of Regal, and struck him down with his spears, and destroyed him unto that day. And he returned with them, he and all his mongrel force, an enormously large body of warriors. And he spent 120 days there, he and his army, in idleness and merriment.